What's going on, G? Been a minute, my guy. We got a nice little show ahead of us today. I'm gonna get your reaction to the LSU game. Got some college football playoff picks that I'm gonna have to pick your brain about. But first things first, how's your Christmas? How's the New Year's going? How are you?
I had a wonderful Christmas, man. Wonderful Christmas. Got to spend time with some family, especially the ones that live out of town. So got some good food. Still eating on leftovers. I know people
Come on.
don't eat leftovers after 2 days, but I'm not one of those people. I eat it till it's all gone. So not having to go buy food or cook anything has been a beautiful thing for me and my son.
You finish until the job is done. That's a testament to G, man. How's the basketball team doing? How we doing right there?
We're doing pretty good. We 18-2. We just suffered our first loss on the week before Christmas. Um, but 18-2 is still a hell of a season. We still got about 17, 18 games left. So I'm
Okay.
looking forward to getting back at it on Monday against Harry Hurst and continue to compete to try to win it, go for a three-peat for the parish championship.
Hey man, you know what Nick Saban says, bro. Sometimes that loss in the season gets you right back on the right track, bro. It's rare you
Yeah.
see undefeated teams win a championship. You got to be able to be a testament. Let's go in here and react to the LSU game. That was kind of a travesty. Because if you ask me, like within the first 5 minutes, G, after the Barry Brown kickoff and then the big Harlem Barry run, I'm like, oh my God, it's looking good. Look like LSU's gonna be able to stomp a mud hole in Houston. And then everybody knows what happened. What was your reaction on Saturday?
I actually thought that Houston was going to win the game. It kind of reminded me of when they played Baylor last year, right? You thought that LSU would come into that game and win the game by 21 or more, but they just kept letting Baylor hang around, hang around, hang around. He let the receiver, I forgot his name, number 34, have a career day on him. And you knew Houston was going to come into this game motivated, right? You got people like Jordan Allen, the former LSU Tiger, who knows a ton of those guys on the LSU roster, who was going back and forth with Tre'Davious Green, right?
Yep.
He wanted to prove that, look, y'all let me go in the transfer portal. I'm about to prove how good I am, and I'm about to show you guys that you shouldn't have let me walk out that door. And Willie Fritz does a great job with his programs. Going back to his days at Tulane, you knew that they was gonna have nothing but bulletin board material coming into that Texas Bowl, bro. So I really wasn't shocked by the outcome. When you talk about SEC opponents going against teams from the Big 12 or a Group of Five school, which that's what Houston used to be. So they still not really looked at as that Power Four team in a lot of people's
Right.
eyes. I knew it was going to be hard for LSU just to get up for it. I knew it, and even though they started off hot, I knew Houston was going to continue to battle and battle and battle, and it was ultimately was able to get the victory, bro.
And one of the other key things that I kind of saw, Connor Weigman, bro, he had about 300 total yards, four tutties through the air. He had a pretty damn good day as well. I mean,
Mhm.
it seemed like almost every ball that they threw went down, whether it be the Tanner, their little tight end, number 9, he got 9 catches, 76 yards, a touchdown. Amari had two tutties in and of itself. It was a crazy game. And then, like, me and my buddies were kind of talking about it as it went. It seemed like Harlem Berry, after the fumble, like he was just not on the side or kind of not out of the game. I don't know what the game plan was, but we didn't see much of him after that. The most carries on the night, Michael Van Buren obviously running for his life at times with the offensive line. Caden Durham got in there. Joanne got in there. They let Xavier rush a couple times. But seen who said in the chat. BK dropped the gym. Matt Moscona this morning, about 45 minutes ago, dropped that Harlem Berry will return to Baton Rouge. What do you think went into that decision? And like, because the writing seemed to be on the wall at first, and I mean, it's an overreaction, but it's like, man, wait, hold up, where's Harlem Berry at? He ain't in the game, and then obviously Frank Wilson's going to Ole Miss, so it seemed like you might worry a little bit, but worry not, my friend.
Anybody that's close to the Harlem Berry situation, you know how his father and his mother feels about Frank Wilson, right? But I think with his daddy, what it came down to was what's the best decision for my child,
Yep.
right? Are we going to put our relationship with Frank Wilson ahead of what's best for my child? And I think they sat down as a family and really discussed what was best. And look, Frank Wilson did what he was supposed to do. I'm gonna try to get my guy to come with me to Oxford,
Yep.
right? You knew that was gonna happen. But to me, if I was Harlem's father, if I was in Harlem's circle, I would have wanted to stay with Lane Kiffin. I would have wanted to stay in Baton Rouge or LSU. I love Pete Golden, been knowing him for years. Um, I'm rooting for him. I hope he does a hell of a job at Ole Miss. But look, it won't be the same program now that Lane's gone. It
100%.
won't. It will not. Let's be real, right? Defensively, they're gonna be solid, right? We don't know how that offense gonna look. Frank could tell Harlem whatever he wants. Like I'm gonna make sure you RB1. You gonna get the ball. You gonna get touches. You gonna do this. But you just never know how that offense is gonna go. You never know how they plan to utilize him.
Yep.
You don't know. I don't even think Pete Golden picked the OC yet, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Let me double check.
Yeah, I
I
don't
haven't
think he
heard of
picked it.
anything.
Yeah, you know what you're getting from Lane Kiffin. You saw what Kawan Lacey did in that offense. You
Yep.
saw it. So if I'm Harlem Barry's dad, if I'm in his circle, I'm sticking with Lane Kiffin. I'm sticking in Baton Rouge. We know what that brand does for you. Blake Baker coming back on the defensive side, so you know what you're gonna get from that defense. So in my mind, I'm gonna put myself in a position to where it looks like on paper, we're gonna have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. And I'm gonna be utilized in a way where I can get hella production and get myself prepared to be evaluated the right way by the NFL. And I
Yep.
think that's what it all came down to. It's just too much uncertainty at Ole Miss right now. You just
They hired an OC, ECU's offensive coordinator, John David Baker.
you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I didn't even that news didn't even surface on my timeline or anything. So that's a lot of question marks. And I'm not saying that what his name is.
John David Baker. I'm looking at his coaching career. He was at North Texas, but quality control or offensive quality control. Same title at USC. And he was at Ole Miss for 2 years, but he did tight ends and then pass game coordinator in 2021. And then from 22 to 23, he was co-OC and tight end, but then he went go be pure OC at East Carolina. So he's coming back. It's one of those
Okay.
trying to
Okay.
get
So
the
he
stability
he
back.
so he's probably got some of Lane's offense in his playbook. And but it's still not Lane.
That's my right.
It's
I
still
mean,
not Lane. It's still not Lane. Again, it's a lot of uncertainty with taking a chance on somebody that you know how it's gonna go at Ole Miss. You know what you get from Lane Kiffin. You know what you get from Charlie Weiss Jr. You know. So I'm gonna go with the for sure.
oh, I
And
agree.
you add that with the type of players that you feel like Lane about to get out the transfer portal, it could be scary. And this could take Harlem Berry game to another level.
What do you think about Kwan Lacey and Caden Durham? What kind of decisions do they make here? Because I feel like the running back room, the more the merrier. You lose Caleb, you lose Jawan. Right now, you'd be pretty bare. So I feel like there is a spot for all three of them. They all three kind of have different aspects to their game. But do you think you can keep Caden if Kwan hypothetically comes?
I mean, I think anybody that watches college football and you have any type of eye for the running back position, you know Kawan Lacey is the best running back out of the three. We know that.
Yep.
Um, I don't think Caden Durham should stay if Kawan Lacey comes. Right? You got to realize, Caden Durham is going into his third year.
Yep.
Right? He's going to want to be the lead back. Right? And we know in today's not only in college football but in NFL, you want to have a running back by committee. Right? You don't want your running back getting 20 to 25 carries a game. Right? You don't want them getting beat up like that.
Yep.
But at the same time, I would think that if Caden Durham said he was going to stay, your two lead backs going to be Kawan Lacey if he comes and Harlem Berry. And just going off of this past season, right? And I know Caden dealt with some injuries. Harlem looked like the better player.
Yep.
Harlem looked more explosive. I go back to the game against Vanderbilt when Caden busted that long run, bro. When he busted that long run, and Jordan Matthews, a boot boy from Woodlawn High School, hawked him down on the 2-yard line. And LSU did not score. I thought that was a clear indication that Caden Durham was not himself because his freshman year, he was hitting his head on the goalpost.
Yeah.
Harlem looked like he just had more of a burst this year. He looked more twitchy. So in my mind, I would be focusing on Harlem Berry and Kawhi Lacey. That's no disrespect to Caden Durham. I think he's still a good running back. I think that if he wants to stay, I'm not gonna tell him we don't want him to stay. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm gonna definitely welcome him back with open arms. But if I'm Caden Durham, I'm hitting the transfer portal if Kawhi Lacey is coming.
And you still got JT Lindsey. So I mean,
I don't know what the situation is with him with the legal legal matters. I don't know if that that's gonna be something that they're gonna have to figure out.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It's kind of similar to Trey Holly situation, but at least hypothetically, if that clears up, you could have a nice little depth piece. But then at the end of the day, the portal's still going to open. You're still going to have pieces hopping in and out. If you look at the stats, Harlem Berry through the last 5 weeks. Actually, let's just do the last 4 of the regular season because obviously in Houston, like we said, the fumble, then he doesn't get back in. He had 14 carries against Oklahoma, 18 against Western Kentucky, 11 versus Arkansas, 12 versus Alabama. And you look at Caden Durham's, 6 versus Oklahoma, 6 versus YKU, 12 versus Arkansas, and 3 versus Alabama. So there definitely is a clear trust factor. And initially, like you can say, all right, well, Harlem's got, I'm not going to say a wider skill set, but I would think he is the better receiving and hybrid back, if you will. Caden going to be more your power guy. But the injury thing is really tough to monitor. And another thing that's tough to monitor too, G, is the offensive line, because that's the main focal point, the main gripe of the entire offense this whole entire season. It's like the pass game struggle because of the offensive line. And there are some decision-making factors, but all in all, I do think that everything would have been increased if you can address that front 5. That's my main focal point going into the portal. What do you think they're going to focus on the most? Well, you got to do quarterback first. I'm going to preface that because obviously Nussmeier's gone. I don't know what they do with Michael Van Buren. He says he wants to stay. He says he's talking with Lane Kiffin. Naturally, I feel like you would want to be in a Lane Kiffin offense, but might not be his decision at the end of the day. They're going to definitely bring in 2 guys more than likely for that quarterback position. But those are my 2. I would say quarterback. I'd say O-line. How are you feeling about, a week away from that portal opening? Maybe not even, like 3 days?
No, I mean, it opens on the 2nd. So that's what today is, Wednesday? Friday.
Yeah. 2 days.
Yeah. Let me touch on this dude. I think something about Harlem Berry's game that Lane Kiffin and Charlie White Jr. will be able to unlock is his ability to be able to catch the ball. If you motion him to the slot or throwing him the ball at the backfield, that's something about Harlem I thought it was going to be utilized this year, but LSU couldn't. I mean, we couldn't get the passing game going at all. So you couldn't even see that part from Harlem Berry. I think that's something about his game that will really put him in a position to be one of the best versatile backs in all of college football, right? And what does the NFL look for now, right? Look at Jahmyr Gibbs. Look at Christian McCaffrey. Look at when Alvin Kamara was healthy, right? Mm-hmm. I could go on and on. They want backs that not only can run the ball, but I can motion you to the slot, right? I could throw you little swing passes and get you in space. That's what Harlem thrives at. Mm-hmm. And I think you will see when he gets in Lane's offense, Lane will unleash all of that with Harlem Berry. And now you put him in position not only to be productive in LSU's offense, but now I'm getting evaluated the right way by the NFL. And we talk about these type of things all the time, right? We want to go to a school and be in an offense where we're going to have some production, but we also want to be in an offense where it could translate to the next level. 100%. And Lane's offense will definitely help Harlem translate to the next level.
I was talking with somebody about that last night, G, talking about just how scouting college game tape isn't always the same because let's say an NFL team, for example, let's use LSU dropping a 4-2-5 scheme. So let's say you're running a base 3-4 at an NFL or whatever. You're not really going to be able to take what they're doing in that scheme and have it translate to what you're doing in yours. You're going to have to change them. You're going to have to put them in a lot of different situations. We can use Harold Perkins as an example. More than likely, when Harold Perkins plays NFL football, he's going to have to do a lot more or just different role in the NFL than he did in college football. And you can say that for a variety of players. Even a guy like Deshaun Spears, who's barely getting in and out. Like there's going to be a break in what you saw from them in college to what you're going to see from them in the NFL. They're going to have to rise a level of play. They're going to have to do a couple of things they've never been asked to do. And with that, sometimes the tape, I'm not going to say it lies, but it's like the Corey Raymond comment. It doesn't matter if you're playing 100% of the snaps as much as it is what are you doing with the snaps you're given, and then how are you going to be able to answer the opportunity whenever you get it. Like it's going to be kind of tough to tell based off of college tape in very, very, very situational schematic standpoints.
You know, I've been on these Zoom meetings and in these rooms when kids that's about to get drafted to go to the NFL having these conversations with a DB coach or a D coordinator or offensive coordinator or receiver coach, right? One of the first things they're going to want to do is get them on the board. Yes. And see how intelligent they are and
With
see
their
could they
playbook.
pick up on the scheme that they run. That's one of the first things they do, right? They want to see your football mind, your football IQ. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to do a private workout with you. They're going to put you in certain drills and make you do certain things to see, all right, can he do this in my scheme? And that's what this all come down to, because you talk about somebody like Harold Perkins. They might have 5 different teams in the league that plan to use him different ways.
Yep.
You just never know. It just depends on the DC and how they envision him in their scheme, bro. And I think that you take somebody. I don't know if people remember Danielle Hunter when he was at LSU, the DN. Danielle Hunter didn't play a ton of snaps, but the NFL evaluated him and saw his traits, right? Interviewed him, worked him out privately, and now he went to the NFL. I think he got drafted by the Vikings, and he's been having a hell of a career.
Yep.
Right? He's not somebody that dominated at LSU. He wasn't a Michael Brockers. He wasn't a Glenn Dorsey. Right? He wasn't a Shea Sign or somebody of that nature. He was somebody that rotated in, and you saw flashes, right? But he didn't play a whole lot. That's what Corey Raymond is talking about. The NFL doesn't care if you had 20 sacks, right? If you had 20, don't get me wrong, that plays a factor, right? It looks good. But if the way you got them 20 sacks doesn't translate to the league, or doesn't translate to how I use my edge rushers, then you're not getting drafted high in the draft, bro. Or you might go undrafted. So I think that's a key element that people don't really realize. I'll take somebody else, for example, from our area, Tri-Paris area. Devontavian Martin, 6'2 and a half wide receiver, went to Oklahoma State, led the Big 12 in receiving with like 1,200 yards or something like that, 10 tutties, was the Fiesta Bowl MVP against Notre Dame. Had a game, had a day, went undrafted. Why? Because Gundy's offense at Oklahoma State, a lot of people say it didn't translate to the league.
Right.
Right? The way he, the way they run their routes, I remember a scout telling me this one time. Same thing went with Mike Leach at Washington State. The concepts and the way the receivers learn his offense, you're really not reading the defense. Is almost like everything's premeditated, right? And that's why a lot of receivers under Mike Leach didn't go high in the draft. So it's things like that people probably don't take into account and they never had no clue about. But it goes back to your point. How does your game translate to the next level? And we go back to what we talking about with Harlem Barrett. Staying at LSU on the Lane Kiffin, I think that's going to help Harlem not only have a good year at LSU and have an opportunity to play for a national championship, but you're going to get put in a position to be evaluated by the NFL the right way.
There's so much more than meets the eye with this type of stuff. Yeah, it's
sure.
Like a lot of people want to look at statistics, output, big names, flashy output. Like more often than not, G, whenever that NFL season ends in February and we start watching Senior Bowls and we start watching pro days and combines, that's when you're really going to get to know about the player and about their stock, if you will. The draft stock is probably the most volatile thing you can put on a college football player. The best example I can give is last year, the top 3 names in terms of number 1 pick, Quinn Ewers, who went what? 7th round, Shador, 5th round, Carson Beck, Buddy's playing a college football playoff game tonight. It's like, I mean, you really don't know until you put them in that situation. You're gonna have to
Every
watch everything pan out.
every year, right? Quarterbacks that are talked about being a Heisman Trophy candidate or potential #1 picks. By the end of the season, it'd be some guys that you wouldn't even thinking about.
Bro, facts. Fernando Mendoza.
There you go.
Like we were talking about Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, DJ Lagway, Arch Manning. And I wasn't even on the Arch Manning hype train. I figured he would come back for another year. But bro, I mean, you couldn't convince
Lenore
many people.
Sellers.
Yeah, you couldn't convince a lot of people that those names would fall. All of them, matter of fact.
But nobody was talking about Mendoza at Indiana.
Nope.
Nobody was talking about Dante Moore at Oregon.
Marcel Reed at A&M.
Marcel Reed at A&M, bro. Like, these are guys that were afterthoughts.
Yep.
And now they're being talked about as potential first round picks.
Yep. No, I agree. It's an interesting scenario. I want to ask you about some Michigan news. Y'all got y'all a coach, Mr. Whittingham, and he's got a nice little track record, if you will. I feel like he's a nice little guy. Been at Utah since 1994, bro. Started as a D-line coach, moved on to the DC. Now he was head coach for 20 years, starting in 05, ending now. Overall head coaching record 177 and 88. Won the Pac-12 twice, 2 times recently. I remember that game whenever they picked off Caleb Williams and they beat USC. And I think that was USC's final year in that conference. Regardless, though, what's your thoughts on this hire, and how do you think this is going to be able to translate for Michigan?
I thought it was a win for Michigan, right? You get a coach that has won a ton of games. I know people are going to talk about the conference he was in for a long time, for most of those 20 years at Utah. But look, the guy's a winner.
Yep.
I forget what his record is against ranked opponents, but it's pretty good considering he was at Utah. And then I thought what was key to all of this, you got him on a 5-year deal at $8 million a year, right? And he's no slouch of a coach. You talk about what Michigan football is made of: the O-line and D-line and control of the line of scrimmage. Well, at Utah, that's what he did, bro. Mm-hmm. He always had a really violent O-line, a really violent D-line. They always was stout in that area. Well, that's what he's gonna bring back to Michigan. And then you add somebody like Bryce Underwood, if he's able to keep him at Michigan, which I think he will have a good opportunity to be to keep him there, right? There's no telling how good Michigan can end up being. They're gonna be tough, right? They're gonna be gritty. It's gonna be a lot of structure. And this is what I was telling some of my friends about the hire with Kyle Whittingham. No disrespect to Sherrone Moore. Sherrone Moore won 9 games, bro, at Michigan. He won 9 games. And when I watched Michigan this year, it just wasn't the Michigan I'm used to watching. This probably was the worst O-line I've seen at Michigan in a long time. You don't say that at Michigan.
That's your forte.
You don't say that at Michigan, bro.
Right.
The receiver position, our best receiver was Andrew Marsh, the true freshman, number 4. Other than him, I mean, bro, it was like, I don't know who had a worse receiving core, Michigan or the Saints. Like, it was that bad, bro. We didn't have we always had a stout tight end. Didn't have that this year. I mean, Klein, solid guy, number 17, the tight end. He's solid, but he wasn't a world beater.
Right.
And I thought that's why Michigan couldn't beat the ranked teams this year, right? That's why they struggled against USC, right? That's why they struggled against Ohio State, because they couldn't get guys to win a one-on-one matchup, and they wasn't going to allow Bryce Underwood to use his legs to impact the game. And he's not mature enough in the passing game, right? Being able to go through his progressions and change protections and all of that, all those type of things you have to be able to do when you playing against the Ohio States of the world, right? He's not there yet. And teams identified that, and they exploited it. And when they knew that he didn't have a receiving core that could win a one-on-one matchup, it made it easy to game plan for. So I'm hearing that Kyle Whittingham's supposed to be bringing his former OC Tim Beck to Michigan, which I think they was number 2 in the country in rushing with him. But I don't know if Bryce Underwood wants to be a part of that. a run first heavy team,
Mm.
that could steer him away.
That goes
So
back to
that's
your comment about NFL translation.
yeah, don't get me wrong. I think Bryce Underwood could run that offense to the T and have Michigan pretty good in year one with Kyle Whittingham. But how does that benefit him as far as being able to translate his game to the next level?
And don't.
And I don't know if Kyle Whittingham has taken that to account or if he's just thinking about, look, I got to win ball games. So if you lose Bryce Underwood because of the type of offense you planning on running, Michigan fans could get in the uproar behind it. But I like the hire. I think he gonna do better than Sharon Moore, right? I think do you beat Ohio State and Oregon? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And I don't think this is a long-term solution. I know he signed a 5-year deal, so that clearly lets you know he's 66 years old. Even though he's not a typical 66-year-old coach, right? He kind of moves around like he's in his 50s, right? I think Kyle Whittingham could coach another 8 to 10 years, in my opinion. And but I do think he's gonna get some stability to his program, and he's gonna put it in a good place. And then in about 3 years, they'll go get the coach they really, really want. That's just my personal opinion.
It's a little bridge. I can see it. I want to point this out. I looked up some statistics. Michigan, total receiving touchdowns all year, 9. Total rushing, 32. If you want to compare the receiving, Ohio State had 32 receiving touchdowns. Oregon had 29. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, they didn't have many rushing. No, Ohio State had 24 rushing and Oregon still had 32. So it's a huge, huge discrepancy. I mean, it's hard. It just jumps off the damn paper at you, dog. It's like, what the
It
hell?
was it was bad. It was hard to watch this shit. Like I don't think I think the Ohio State game was the only game I watched the entire 4 quarters. That's how hard it was to watch the offense, bro.
Yeah. I'm trying to compare their statistics to LSU. It's tough. LSU had 5 receivers over 30 catches. Bar Sharp was close. He had 24. Bro, Michigan had 2 over 30. Wow. And I mean, look, you could argue that LSU's offense was lackluster too. So for that comparison, very interesting.
LSU offense was definitely lackluster,
It's got to change, man. You got the man
below
for the job,
average.
though. All right, let's talk college football playoff picks. We got 4 games. One of them's tonight. We'll start off with the one tonight, Ohio State and Miami. I got an interesting take. So first, I do think Ohio State wins, but I'm going to give Cristobal and Carson Beck their flowers because that A&M game was insane. You could ask me 100 times. I'd have told you 100 times that A&M won. I'd have never thought Miami got it done. And they got it done like handily, dog. One of the best defenses. Now, I'm about to sound ridiculous. I'll pick Ohio State to win, but gee, I was doing some digging and I saw a prop that said both teams to score 15 points. They both average 35, but they both average allowing 10. So it's going to be, it could be a point of contention here. The total's at 40. I'm not taking it. I think this is how it plays out. I think Ohio State jumps to a lead. I think Miami is going to have to chunk that ball over and over and over. Now, Carson Beck could throw some damn picks and ruin this year, but I think them playing from behind in what's their final game probably might have them score a little more than 2 touchdowns. My pick is Ohio State to win, like I said, but for some value for the people, G, for the people, plus 150, both teams to score 15.
Man, Miami. I don't know if you remember me saying this around week 5. I thought Miami was the best team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they lost to Louisville, and then they lost to somebody else.
I'm looking it up.
I forgot who else. They kind of started looking like they couldn't handle success. SMU, right? That started making me feel like, damn, like, what's going on with Cristobal over there in Miami? I do think Ohio State has the better roster top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Miami, bro, they so damn good on defense. The O-line is imposing. The D-line, bro, with Bain and them boys, it's going to be hard for Ohio State to just control the line of scrimmage tonight. And although I think Ohio State has the best roster top to bottom, I think that's where the game going to be won and lost tonight. at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And if I had to pick, I'm picking Miami O line and I'm picking Miami D line over Ohio State's. I'm just being real. All right. I know everybody say this is a quarterback game, and Julian saying is having a better year than Carson Beck. But I think tonight, Miami's O line and their D line gonna be the reason why they upset Ohio State, bro.
Okay.
I got Miami winning this one in a close one, 21-17.
Okay. BK's he's repping with it. He likes it. He likes it. He says Beck don't go turnover crazy. He thinks they beat him, and he thinks they cover for sure. The spread's at 10, which is a little.
Yeah. I gotta go look at Miami injury report. Something ain't right about this.
Let me go pull it up for you.
That's something ain't right about that.
I know. 10? I agree. Hey, sometimes I feel like they're trying to trick you because I got another game in here that I think
everybody gonna go with Miami.
Let me see.
Everybody gonna take the 10.
Bro.
Everybody definitely taking the 10.
I don't see nothing yet. Let me look at Twitter now. Twitter gonna have some information for me.
I haven't seen anything though.
Yeah.
So.
Bro. All right. Okay. This one's Damari Brown out is that kind of tough. But Malik Bryant, Dalen Upshaw, and then the only one doubtful is Dante Simpson, number 93, their D line.
Malik Bryant, that's one of the guys on the D line. He pretty good. Who else?
Damari Brown, DB, out.
All right, they got a lot of depth in the secondary though, so I think they'll be all right. Malik Bryant, that hurt not having him.
Ohio State got a lot of injuries on theirs. It's not key players, but it's like they got 6 people probable, 2 people doubtful, 4 people out. Malik Hartford, Quincy Porter, Mason Maggs, and Logan George all out for Ohio State.
Hartford, that's the DB, and Porter, that's like their 5th receiver.
Interesting.
Vegas ain't gonna deter me from what I feel. I'm gonna still go with Miami.
All right, so I'm glad we're talking about Vegas here because I think I'm about to say something interesting, but I think this Indiana-Alabama game is blown out of proportion as well, bro. They got Bama at plus 200, and look, I'm biting, bro. I'm the most feeding frenzy fish in a CG. Like,
I feel you.
You give me that type of opportunity, it's tough. It's just like that's both to score 15 at plus. Alabama, I think, has a very good defense. Here's the stat, though, that really kind of just, it bugs me. Fernando Mendoza. They played Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. And I looked at all 3 of those games. All 3. 1 tutty, 1 pick. And I'm not trying to say that that's bad. They're a Russian dominant team, averaging 220 yards per game. That's hard as hell because you're getting leaned on, the time of possession, your defense getting wore out, yada yada yada, and then you can drop one in the bucket at the end. And on the other side of it, Bama's only averaging 109 yards per game if they're lucky. They got Oklahoma and Alabama combined for less than 100 in their playoff game. Just to put that into perspective, I will say this though. I'm gonna sound like Brian Kelly here. I'll flash us back to In Between the Hedges in Athens, Georgia, Alabama versus Georgia, when Bama won. Jam Miller had a nice little breakaway at the end. And what our guy BK say, man? All it takes is one. There could be a moment in this game if Fernando Mendoza has his pick like he's had in his top 3 games where Alabama takes it and shoves it down their throat. I can't lie. I think Bama is more than likely the more qualified team. And I'm talking so hypothetical, but Kalen DeBoer's got experience in the national championship, in the college football playoffs. Bama's obviously a system. They're in the SEC. They've got a lot of, I don't want to say competitive depth for lack of a better word, but it just feels like I can trust the Tide more than I can trust Indiana. It's the second best team in the SEC per standings. I just don't know why they're plus 200. I can't find any single reason. Yeah, Ryan Williams went AWOL and he's pretty much damn near checked out at this point. He's not even getting used. What is he getting? 2 targets a game? But I'm riding with Bama, dog. I can't lie. I think that's an opportunity here. I think Bama beats Indiana.
I gotta go with you. I think Indiana is another team like Miami when you talk about the D line and the O line is really good. And anytime you can rush the football the way they do, you got to have a physical and violent O line. Yeah. So, I think that definitely could present problems for Alabama. But I just think again, Alabama up front, they not as far off, in my opinion, from Indiana. When you talk about Big Keenan, the D tackle, 96 for Alabama, I think he could present problems, right? They're gonna have to double team him all night long, right? You talk about number 42, what's his name? The edge rusher from Alabama. He has gotten better and better as the season went on. He wasn't even somebody people was talking about at the
Yanzi
beginning of the year.
Pierre.
Pierre, that he has been he has been relentless coming off the edge.
7 sacks all year. 3
Yeah.
forced fumbles.
Yes, he has been relentless coming off the edge, bro. And then when you talk about somebody like Deontay Lawson, number 0, the linebacker, who has a lot of experience, he is somebody that's going to be ready for these moments. He's somebody going to get everybody lined up. He is somebody that is ready for this stage.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty Simpson, bro, I just think Ty Simpson has shown countless times this season that when he gets in clutch situations, he gonna make the right play, and he got ice water in his veins. So I'm going with Alabama.
Bro, 8 of the 12 regular season games for Ty, I believe he threw over 250. Let me double check this. I mean, that's insane. That's another one of the points I made this morning. I was saying the rushing game, or the lack thereof, is for 2 reasons, in my opinion. It would be, 1, because they're going to be in a lot of close games. And I'm not saying you're not running the ball in a close game, but you're more prone to pass, especially if you're coming from behind, especially if you're trying to make something shake. But when you got Ty Simpson, dog, 326 versus Oklahoma, 277 versus LSU, 250 against Tennessee, against South Carolina. He had 300 against Vandy, 270 against Georgia, 380 against Wisconsin, 250 against Florida State. I mean, he's accurate as hell. And then collectively, like the past games, I know Fernando won the Heisman and he's everybody's sweetheart, but it's like 39 tutties and 8 picks to 32 tutties and 5 picks. They're damn near the exact same passing game. It's really going to come down to who makes the turnover at the end of the game, quite frankly. And if Fernando's averaging 1 in his top games, I'm just going to bite the bullet and say Alabama beats Indiana. I think it could be close, but probably Fernando just, he got the monkey off his back getting the Heisman, bro. So
it's hard for me to come up. It's hard for me to come up with a score.
It is.
It really
I gave 24-21.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 28-24. Bama.
Blind Squirrel says that he's tempted to join us taking Alabama, but he wants to see their run game before he can fully believe in them. Yeah, that's the crippling factor.
But see, and look, and that's a great point, right? We've been talking about the run game all year, but they keep finding ways to win.
Exactly.
Ty Simpson keeps finding ways to move the ball down the field and hit Bernard and hit Horton and hit the number 17. I think he's a freshman. The receiver. He's just been finding
Brooks.
Yeah, he's just been finding ways to move the ball and continue to score points without them having a consistent running game. So I just think they're gonna be able to do it again tonight.
And to go back to our point earlier, that was another name that nobody was talking about, Ty Simpson. Matter of fact, at the SEC Media Day week, the rumor was there's still a quarterback competition and they don't know their guy and we don't know if he's going to be it. And then here it is. Now he's cold and probably going to wind up going to the Natty. All right. These are my Natty picks though right here. Georgia. That's my guy. These are my team. They're playing Ole Miss tomorrow. Sugar Bowl, New Orleans. Word on the street is Lane Kiffin's going to pop out. So I can't wait to see that. The controversy that's going to come from it. I think, I don't know. Ole Miss is in over their heads, bro. I can't lie. And Georgia's only minus 230. I think it's a 7-point spread. Regardless, though, it seems way too close for what that game feels like to me. Georgia's the most complete team across the board. They held Alabama to 7, Georgia Tech to 9, and they held Texas to 13. And then they played Charlotte, and they only scored 3. Georgia's defense will smother you. Gunnar Stockton's hella accurate, 70% pass completion. And this is another point that I made that could be, reaching at nothing. But Gunnar has another year eligibility, and I was talking about the mindset of a quarterback that knows this is not his final moment. Carson Beck's going to be under pressure. knowing that this is it. The NFL's watching. This is going to be something that makes or breaks the outlook on my college career. Gunnar doesn't have that same type of pressure. Now, that could be for better or worse. The pressure could sometimes motivate you, but more often than not, I think it cracks you and sometimes makes you make a mistake. I like the fact that Gunnar knows he can have another year next year, knows this isn't going to be the end of it. Maybe he can just relax a little bit. Plus, the defense is going to make it easier for him because he's not constantly having to answer the bell and score and go into a shootout. I think Georgia, even though Ole Miss is an explosive offense, I think they smother him, dog. I ain't going to lie. I'll take a 2-possession win. Like 31-17. I'll
If
throw
y'all,
that.
if people don't think Lane Kiffin not helping Charlie Weiss Jr. and the rest of those guys on the offensive staff at Ole Miss with this game plan and gonna be a part of what they gonna do on offense tonight. No, not tonight. When they play?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
You got another thing coming. Lane, don't forget, Lane got an incentive in his contract if these people win a national championship.
True.
And I know there's a long shot. I don't think Ole Miss will win the national championship, but stranger things have happened.
Yep.
And look, Ole Miss got a really good offense. They do. And when they played Georgia the last time, they was up, 10 in the fourth quarter? They was up 10. So let's not act like this game just so far-fetched that Ole Miss can't pull off the upset, right? Pete Golden is going to be super motivated to show that he can handle a game like this as a head coach. I'm sure he's going back and watch that film when they played Georgia the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make adjustments. So, although I think Georgia is my pick to win the national championship, that's my pick. That's why I got to win it. I think this is gonna be a close game. I really believe that Ole Miss gonna bring it to them, and I can see this coming down to the last possession. I really do. I'm gonna go ahead and say this game gonna be 33-28.
Dang. Yeah, I don't know why.
Georgia.
I just feel like Georgia
33-28 Georgia.
I feel like Georgia might jump out, man. I don't know. But that's a good point about Lane because look, it's a mutual benefiting situation because
Man, Lane probably in the hotel right now.
You got the incentive, and then these guys are on your squad next year. Why not give them college football playoff experience? Why not go through the motions with them? It's the reps. It's the mind games. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to do that, like a John Summerall, for instance. But
they probably been on Zoom meetings and the whole nine, bro. Lane, I promise you, Lane is involved.
Yep, he gonna be in the building. He gonna be in the building, no doubt. Oregon and Texas Tech. This is an odd one. Oregon minus 130, really, really close in odds. I know DeCorian Moore played against the JMU game, but it's not like they really needed a lot of reps in that one. I feel like that one went without saying that JMU was going to get splattered. But if you look at the injury report, bro, it's pretty rough. I can't lie to you. They got about 7 to 8 players out. Obviously, Evan Stewart, 2 to 3 DBs. They're going to be thin, put it that way. How are you feeling about Oregon in this spot? Texas Tech, I know, has been one of our sleepers that we've kind of been appreciating all season. I just think you're getting to that point right now, G, where they might be in a little bit of a learning spot, if you will. Sometimes you just got to get the rub, right? Sometimes you got to do it. And I think they get rubbed the wrong way by Oregon. Oregon at minus 130, I love it. I think they're going to go ahead and get that job done.
I'm going with Texas Tech.
Okay.
I think Texas Tech is one of those teams that's flying off of momentum right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are a balanced team, right? They have a really good offense. I like their receivers with Caleb Douglas and Eskin and Michael Hudson, the tight end. I like the 3 running backs they got. The defense is really good. They got a good D-line. They got edge rushers. We know about Rodriguez, who was a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yep, Jacob.
Secondary is really, really active, and they got ball skills. They can run. Oregon is not helped at the receiver position.
No.
I just think Texas Tech win this game, bro. I like Texas Tech. I think they they win it, and I think they win by 2 positions. I got them winning 30-20.
Damn, I want to see the odds on that. Somebody asked, Damon asked actually, if Oregon loses, will Lanny be on the hot seat next season?
No.
Yeah, I want to pump the brakes. I think the hot seat, and because Kirby Smart, I think, said it. Okay, you want to fire him. Who are you going to hire? And a lot of teams are put in a tough spot this year because they just were dropping like flies, bro. Like every single school at one point seemed like they were going to interview a head coach. I mean, golly, it's going to put you in a spot. Like take the SEC, for example. Ole Miss, LSU, Florida, Kentucky. Am I missing one?
Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn, Arkansas. Bro, that's a third of the damn conference that just went go get a new head coach. And then we're not even naming the schools like a Michigan. I mean, Utah's going to be looking for one. There's going to be a lot of different schools across the board scratching their heads. I don't know. Put yourself in a tough spot. You're going to have to give them like the Kalen DeBoer treatment. Like everybody's pissed off. All right, cool. Pump the brakes though. Let's see how he can finish the year. Because now we're arguing that they can advance into the college football playoff. And I honestly think they got a chance of going to the Natty. I can't lie because they're going to play the winner of Oregon and Texas Tech. And if it's Texas Tech, bro, I'm taking Bama again. I'm sorry. I am. Like the path is going to present itself for them, quite frankly. I can't lie. But we'll see.
That's Texas Tech was my sleeper before the season started.
That's a good team, bro. That oil money, man. That oil money will get you far, bro. Come on. That Texas got it going, dog. They got it going right now. But we about to hop out of here, G. Appreciate your time. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Hopefully we got y'all some winners today. Hopefully. I mean, it's been like this roller coaster of a season, but hopefully we end on a high and then we can just land on the track, get off, take our vest off, have a little bag. Come on, G. Come on. All right. Y'all have a good, happy New Year. Tonight's New Year's Eve. Everybody stay safe. Appreciate y'all for joining us. Appreciate your time, G.
Don't do nothing I wouldn't do.
No, don't. Come on. What would G do? WWGD. Let's go. Handle success, everybody. Later.